Good morning, Columbus. This is Curtis coming to you live from Work and Community Services here down in Groveport. Today we are scheduled to do our loss prevention training, building trust with your employee through honest actions and integrity. This is a training that was put together last year and is for all mobile crew applicants. You have to have this training in order to go out on one of our mobile crews. So if you are interested in joining one of our mobile crews when you come back to get services here at WCS, then you need to please watch this and then tell me about it when you come back. All right. So the definition of loss prevention. Loss prevention is a set of practices employed by companies to preserve profit. Profit preservation is any business activity specifically designed to reduce preventable losses. A preventable loss is any business cost caused by deliberate or inadvertent human actions, also known as shrinkage. Now, what do you guys know about profit? Profit is the money that a company makes that they can then pay their employees with, improve their services, and buy new products. So anything above standard operating costs is what profit is. Goodwill is a non-profit, so we take everything that we earn and we turn it back into programming for our individuals, and that's where our profit goes. That's why we're a non-profit. We don't just take that profit and spread it around to all the higher ups. That would not be very fun, and it'd be kind of illegal in places. We like to invest in our programming. We do offer a lot of different day services, WCS being one of those, and some of these programs do take some substantial money. And what we do try to fundraise throughout the whole year, get grants and everything, and we turn all this money back into helping to create better independent living for individuals. So profit helps. I just discussed all that stuff. All right, following along here. So what are some examples of loss of profits? Examples of loss in profits: employee theft. When an employee takes an item they did not purchase, an employee giving an item to a friend or family or selling it to someone else for their own profits. Time theft: working a minimum wage job but sitting down and not working, taking excessive bathroom breaks, walking away from workstation to talk with friends. Damages: doing a job carelessly, causing damage to items you are working on. Instead of selling it for profit, it gets thrown away. Or even just damaging equipment that you are supposed to use, like backpack vacuum cleaners that are pretty expensive, and not taking proper care to make sure that it's put in a proper place and then it getting stepped on, or putting something in the track of an overhead door and forgetting to put it away, causing damage to the overhead door. These are losses and profits that affect the company's bottom line. We also have, employee theft, like we talked about here in the beginning. Anytime that, something is taken from a store or a warehouse that could have been sold to a potential customer, those are items that, lead to theft, lead to loss in profits. It could even be office supplies, something as simple as that. Time theft. This is a big one, and it's a very hard one for individuals to learn, is that when you're working a job and you're getting paid to work that job, you're not just sitting around not doing anything. You're not taking excessive bathroom breaks, and you're not walking away and to go talk with your friends. These aren't things that you get paid for. These are things that cost the company money. So how much does employee theft cost? Stealing from stores. All right. $13 billion a year annual U.S. business losses to shoplifting. 1 in 11 Americans has shoplifted something, and there are 27 million shoplifters in the United States. That's a lot of people stealing. So this is kind of a further breakdown of what those losses entail. Average dollar loss per internal theft incidents. In 2016, it was $1,233.77 versus 2017. A year later, it increased to $1,922.80. That's a huge jump. That is as much as my son's gaming computer that we just recently bought. $2,000. Think of somebody walking out the door with that. So, and next, the right side of that blue block shows the breakdown in the cost per items that are taken. So, of course, the easiest thing is anything less than $249. And that's, a Hot Wheels car or a small toy, a pack of gum, a candy bar. Those are the most common things stolen. There is an increase though in larger items, costing $1,000 or more. Those are up there pretty high. Looks like 15%. That's crazy. So the most stolen merchandise. Food. Who would have thought that people would steal food? Uh, Alcohol, wine and spirits, tobacco, fresh meat. I can't imagine stealing fresh meat just because I hate touching the package anyways. But I mean, even in this new world that we're living in where there's going to be shortages of stuff, even though stores still have plenty in stock, people still feel the need to steal it. Apparel and fashion accessories, footwear, fashion accessories, sports related clothing. Those are all high value, high dollar amount. That's high value, high dollar. Same thing. Highly desired items. And still, some areas are pretty easy to steal from because of the way that they're set up in retailers, because retailers are trying to maximize their space. They may not always have the staff to staff these areas. So, you have to be very vigilant. Do it yourself and home improvement. Batteries, power tools, door locks. I was working at the lumber yard and we had an aisle of power tools that we could visibly see from the cash register. If we looked to our right, somebody came through and everything was cabled down with a steel cable. Somebody came through and cut the steel cable and took a Sawzall. Let me tell you, this thing's the size of your arm, and somebody walked out the store with it, and it was still in plain sight. That hadn't have been a one-man job. Batteries, they're inexpensive items that can be bought. Electronics, of course, you're going to see a lot of electronics being stolen. When I worked at the toy store, there was a lot of different toys and electronics that were stolen. You always kept the high-value stuff behind the register or up high where they couldn't get to it or locked up. That doesn't stop people. And then health and beauty items, razor blades, makeup products, fragrances. People steal the weirdest things. So, do you guys feel that there is something that gets stolen more often at a Goodwill store? Stealing is not just an American problem, it crosses all cultural, race, and ethnic barriers. Theft is just as diverse as society when it comes to people taking what does not belong to them, even in areas of the world that have stricter laws and punishments. I found this very um, educational in the fact that, we all think of just theft here in America and, with our legal system and the way things go, is that, you know, petty theft is very rampant. And yes, we have legal system to deal with stuff and people get charged and everything. But in other countries, like, over in the Asia Pacific where, stealing could lead to death or losing a limb or something, and they still have a pretty significant theft problem. You look at, Asia Pacific, yes, dishonest employee theft is down compared to the other areas in the globe, but shoplifting is way up there, as well as, administrative and non-crime losses. It's just crazy the amounts that goes on there, versus like North America, which includes Mexico. Oh, I guess that's Latin America. North America would be the United States of America and Canada. 43% of dishonest employee theft. That is high. That means almost half of the workforce in North America have stolen. It's crazy. So, though the research on this slide is from Canada, it still relates to all retailers. What thoughts go through your mind when the urge to take something hits? Now we can go and review the art of decision making. So, learning the steps of decision making will help you make the right decision when it comes to shoplifting. There are 5 steps to decide. There are 5 steps to decision making, and they are collecting information, setting goals, brainstorming, evaluating, and taking action. Now, let's suppose someone says to you, "Come on, let's go. We won't get caught." Go through the 5 steps, stop, and think. First, you want to collect information. Where are we going? Why are we going there? Who else is involved? And what do you want me to do? And when is this all going down? That's very important. If someone says, "Hey, let's go to the store," which store are we going? Why are we going there? Any of our other friends coming along with us? If not, are we by ourselves? Why are we by ourselves? And what exactly is it that you want me to do? And when are we doing this? Then you want to set some goals. Do you have career goals, personal goals? How will this affect those goals? Will this help you reach your goals? If it won't help you, don't do it. If you want to work in an environment that requires trust, like in a retail environment or even in a restaurant when you're dealing with other people's money, or anywhere that there's going to be a high level of trust involved, will you doing getting caught stealing or trying to steal something or going down this route, how is that going to help you with your career goals or even personal goals? You want to try to be a better person and you're on the fence about whether you want to take something or not. How is that affecting this goal? How will you be able to even reach your goal if you're still dealing with these issues? You just got to think to yourself, if it won't help you, don't do it. Then brainstorm. Consider all the consequences of shoplifting. What are the legal ramifications? Are you going to get arrested? A cop's got to come pick you up. Personal. Who am I going to call to come pick me up out of, from downtown or pay my bill if it's a large amount, or who's going to come, represent me? That's in financial. How much is this arrest going to cost me? Or, some individuals get banned from certain stores because they've shoplifted so much. You know, that hurts financially. If it's a major retailer where you can go and buy personal items that you need or food and it was your lowest cost option, but you got caught stealing and then banned from that store, you're going to pay more money to get your groceries elsewhere. That hurts your financial situation. Relationships. Every individual has a team that helps them. How is getting caught stealing or trying to steal something, how is that helping the relationships with your teams or even your peers? Are you taking things from your peers? That has shown to cause severe consequences there. Family. Any individual that does have family, how does theft affect your relationships with your family? What about in employment or schooling? You got to consider all the short and long term consequences. It's not impossible, but it's much harder to get financial aid with a felony on your record than it is for someone who obeyed the laws. So, and these are things that we got to work with. There are programs out there available, but why make it harder on yourself in the future by just making the right decision now? Then you got to evaluate of all the consequences you have considered, which ones are negative. If you find you have negative consequences, throw the idea of shoplifting out. And then take action. Once you have evaluated the risks involved, considered the penalties, and discovered that the consequences of shoplifting are too serious, then take the right actions. Now, you can do this at home. If you got a scrap of paper and a pencil or a pen or a crayon, doesn't matter. Can you list 5 things you can say to friends who want you to shoplift? Time and again, employees who have access to the same product as customers steal more than customers do. This blew me away. And I've been in several different environments. It's just amazing the simple fact that employee theft is at 43% versus shoplifting at just 35%. That's crazy when you think about it, that the people you're paying to sell your product and keep your product safe are stealing more than the customers that they're supposed to be watching. Employee theft impacts retailer inventory shrink more than shoplifters. Why do people steal? All right. Some individuals have no inhibiting moral compass. There's a lack of training, a lack of maturity. There's could also be a mental illness involved, like of course my mind would go blank right now. Oh, what's it called? Any kind of obsessive disorder or kleptomania. There we go. Um, is a mental illness because it's a compulsion that people have. Um, they don't have the ability to stop themselves, or they just don't have the moral compass because of a mental illness has kept them away from society teaching them what the right thing is, or they just don't have the maturity level to understand that stealing is wrong, or nobody's even taken the time to sit down and talk to them about it. A lot of times it just takes a conversation. Some steal out of dire necessity, which is from their point of view, from their lens. Their family's in crisis, they need food, they're going to go out and they're going to steal food. If they can't afford food, they're going to steal food. Is it right? No. Do I feel bad for that family in need? I do. But there are other resources to get food for your family. Personally destitute with no social support community. Somebody who is just living on the fringe and does not have a good support system or positive influence in their life is just going to steal out of necessity because they don't have anybody there to help them when they're in a tough spot. And some steal because they are thieves. It is their unregenerate nature to do so. They may be aware of the wrongness or illegality of stealing, but they just do it anyways. They just don't care. And that goes back to the moral compass thing. If you don't have a moral compass, you're not going to care if you're stealing. You're just going to steal because it's in your nature and you want to do it, whether you feel it's wrong or not. More examples of why people steal. The uncontrollable urge, disease that makes them want to steal. That's the kleptomania. Lack the money to buy something they want to own for themselves. They do not have a lot of personal items at home. You'll have some individuals who live in residential facilities. This is similar to prison, though it's more open. But I've worked in youth residential, and the individuals that come there or are made to come there to stay, their main thing is surviving. And one thing they've learned on the streets is how to do what they can to get what they need, even if they don't have the money. It's all about survival. And they don't have a lot of personal items, or simply just for the thrill or high they experience when taking something that does not belong to them. You might not necessarily enjoy the feeling of stealing something. You might feel bad about it. You might feel that remorse, but then that's erased by that pump of adrenaline you get when you're showing your prize to a friend, or you're negotiating with a friend for something. And then you want to make, some individuals just want to make money on the side for personal gain. Again, back at the toy store, there was an individual, he was an assistant manager, and he was selling PlayStations out the back door. Completely illegal. And it cost the company a lot of money to do that. He just wanted to make some money on the side for personal gain. That is not the right thing to do. People will steal anything. Sometimes they don't even know what they're stealing. It just rings so true to some individuals I know of who just want to take something, even if they know it's broken. It's just the thrill of taking it that they do. So why do employees steal? I just want to make sure I had it right. All right. When dishonest employees are asked how they were able to steal, common replies were, "It was so easy, there was nothing to stop me. I knew no one was watching. No one ever follows those procedures, so I knew I wouldn't get caught." Whenever a dishonest employee is apprehended, we as managers must assume part of the responsibility. It's not just the individuals that go out on our mobile crews. We have to worry about staff, making sure that the staff that's with them is accountable as well for keeping an eye on them. Being that moral compass for them, demonstrating and showing them, leading by example of what it is to be an accountable employee. That they're not stealing time, that they're not just taking something, and they're always trying to do the right thing. And it's that kind of mentorship that we find so very successful with the right staff, with clients. So when you guys go out on these mobile crews, you're with great staff that's going to model appropriate behavior and honest behavior while you're out there. So, does anybody have any other ideas of what was I reading? Oh, here we go. Anyone come up with other ideas as to why employees steal? Surprise! 79% of workers admit they have considered or would consider stealing from their employers. Well, um, that's a really high number. Yes, the actual number was more in the 40 percentile of workers who actually did it, but almost 80% of workers, once in this survey, admit that they have considered or would consider stealing from their employers. That's a pretty high number. You know, how many of your coworkers or peers have admitted that they are stealing or would steal? Did you do anything to talk them out of it or to give them better ideas of ways to spend their time and energy versus doing something illegal? What if it was you? And you don't have to admit this openly to anybody, but what if you were the one who were considering stealing, and what did your peers say to you to try to convince you otherwise? Was there a moral compass inside of you involved? So why do employees steal? The main reason is greed. Greed is, they call it one of the seven deadly sins. It's huge, People are greedy. Instead of being raised to appreciate what you have, people are very covetous of other people's belongings, and they feel that in order to be appreciated by others, that they have to have a lot of things with them. So they really go out of their way to get as many things as they can. They're just greedy. They want more, 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 more. The next highest one, vindictiveness, or to get even. Some employees feel that it's their right. Their employer's screwing them over on their wages or their hours, or they just don't like the job. They want to get back at them, or they try to do it and pin it on a coworker that they don't like. Those are very bad reasons to steal. In a very small margin, there's a need. Employees who feel that they need to steal for something or other. Do they need money to pay a bill? Do they need food to feed their family? Do they need clothes because their ones that they have at home are threadbare and they don't know when they'll be able to go out and buy other clothes? Those are all, reasons that, yeah, they're very unfortunate, but there's other programs out there available to help you with those things. But the real reason people steal is opportunity. You know, when companies make it easy through lack of control, an atmosphere of theft is created. Some more examples of why employees steal. Low morale at the workplace. If an employee's just not feeling happy, if he hates the job, he's going to be more apt to do things. If he feels mistreated by his employer, he's going to try to do things to get back at the employer. That's that vindictiveness thing again. They feel underpaid or underappreciated. Well, I didn't get a company bonus this year. I'm just going to take this. This is going to be my bonus. That's not acceptable. You know, there could be a completely different reason of why, you know, bonuses didn't come out, or, why is payroll the way it is? There are a lot of different contributing factors other than the feeling that upper management or the executive team is greedy and trying to keep all the money for themselves. There could be limited resources. There could be, bad sales. There's a lot of different pieces in the puzzle. It could be high profit loss that's taking all the extra profits out. And other employees are stealing everything. It's just crazy. The consequences for theft are minimal. Uh, Again, if there's no real consequences for theft, it's going to create an atmosphere that fosters theft. So you got to make sure, you're on a mobile crew and you get caught stealing, you're automatically suspended until your next team meeting, and then you have to redo this training. That's your first offense. And that just gets more severe from there. And if you just had your team meeting the day before, it could be 30 or more days before that next team meeting. That's a lot of time without money on your paycheck. And that's a very severe consequence. And I don't want to impose that on people, but the lessons have to be learned. Um, Employers that don't have good control over their inventory will create employees who steal because they can see that things aren't counted correctly or kept track of appropriately. So nobody's going to miss the few things that you take. When I worked at the movie theater, we counted all the candy twice a day in between shifts. So it was very tightly controlled, and you knew when something came up missing and what part of the day it came missing. Same thing with the toy store. We counted all of the PlayStation games and Nintendo 64 games. Yes, it was a while ago that I worked at the store. And we counted the systems. All this was done twice a day or more. And just opportunity. You know, giving the employees an opportunity to steal will create an employee that wants to steal. And that very pertinent down there at the bottom line is that employee theft is responsible for 33% of all business bankruptcies. That's a third of all businesses that have gone bankrupt has been due to employee theft. I know I don't want to be responsible for my employer going out of business because then that means I don't get a paycheck. Then I'm going to be in even more trouble than I am now. So, how does Goodwill prevent shoplifting? Well, has anyone here worked on one of the mobile crews? The Dublin store has cameras to watch the entire store. Bag checks for the mobile crew have been implemented, and actually with all the warehouse crew as well, and will be carried out by staff before leaving the store. All individuals who take a bag with them to the store or to the outlet will be required to open them up for staff inspection. Any person who refuses to comply will have an IR written for them, an incident report, and further noncompliance will result in suspension of mobile crew privileges. A lot of retailers use video surveillance. And a lot of, at the toy store, we used bag checks. We checked bags of employees. Some will argue that it's against their rights. Well, you'll see in your hiring paperwork that you sign off on giving your employer the right to search your belongings when you're coming to and leaving a store. So there's no argument there. Yeah, it's strictly voluntary. You can either choose to cooperate and show that you're being honest, or you can refuse to cooperate and there's consequences for that. It's all about honesty, integrity, and compliance. And then all of our staff on the mobile work crews, they have close interactions with the individuals during work hours. Types of theft charges. Employees are not exempt from theft charges. Most employee theft cases are considered petty theft and prosecuted as a misdemeanor crime in court. Though not a felony, it will show on a background check a future employer may order to determine if they will hire you. Some experts believe business lose. Well, that doesn't make sense. Some experts believe business loses more to employee theft than to burglary, robbery, and shoplifting combined. Now, some of our other research kind of didn't show that, but it's pretty close. This is, of course, is a law office that put this one together. Employees should feel they have got a stake in the business, and then they will not be tempted to steal. That's true. If you feel that you have a connection with the store, with your boss, with the company, you're going to feel like you have a stake in the success of that business. So you're going to try hard to make sure that that business is making money so that business can grow. Oh, and these are just some of the types of theft charges. Petty theft versus grand theft. Petty theft is the amount of $950 and less is a misdemeanor. Grand theft is any amount over that. Shoplifting is prosecuted under common property crimes. There's embezzlement. That's when you're taking money from the company. Receiving stolen property. If someone stole something and then gives it to you, you can get prosecuted for that, for receiving stolen property. There's robbery. Passing bad checks is another form that you can get prosecuted for. Armed robbery, which I hope nobody here ever does. That's just not nice. And it's not safe either. Car theft. A lot of car theft is considered grand larceny. Fraud, when you are intentionally deceiving somebody. Say you've got something broken that you stole from a store and you sell it to somebody and tell them that it works. That's fraud. And then identity theft, stealing somebody's identity. Employers, there's a lot of trust that goes in with working in a business, working at a cash register, taking people's money and their credit cards. My wife's credit card information was stolen out of McDonald's many years ago because the employee working the register was very dishonest and he was taking copies of credit cards and then trying to buy things with them. I had a coworker at a job a few years back. When he was relieving me for a break, he went through my backpack, got my wallet out, took a picture of my debit card front and back and of my driver's license, and then 2 days later tried to buy something at an auto parts store with it. Luckily, I paid attention to my finances and caught it. Those are all different types of thefts and circumstances that can happen. Okay, so we're going to review the stealing monitor and see if you can identify your own number on the chart. You don't have to state it out loud if you're watching this at home, but just kind of take in mind to see where you fall at on this chart. So number 5, I have stolen from several different places. I am out of control. I could go to jail. Number 4, I stole this from a store. I could be punished for it for a wrong decision. Others do not trust me. I know a lot of individuals in this one. Number 3, I took this from someone. This is wrong. Others are starting to not trust me. I know some individuals in this one too. Number 2, someone gave me this. I was given a present for a holiday or a reward. I can show others. As long as they didn't steal it and they gave it to you, it's good. Number 1, I earned this. This is good. I can show others what I have. That's the best feeling ever. You earned something. You used your money. You bought it. Yeah, show that off to the world. That's the best feeling. That's where you want to be. 2 is okay, but you got to make sure that the thing that they're giving you wasn't stolen. 1 is where you want to be. All right, next, can you identify the wrong in this next group of pictures? What are they stealing? Number 1, what does that person look like they're stealing? Yeah, it looks like some nail polish. What about number 2 there in the lower left-hand corner? Could be a piece of candy, pack of gum, candy bar. What about number 3? I have never in my life seen this happen, but I've never worked at a department store that sold these. Yes, this gentleman is stealing blue jeans. Number four. I think it's pretty obvious what he's taking. Taking himself some milk duds. He doesn't look very happy about it either. What about this group of pictures? Where are they hiding things? You believe that lady's putting a bottle of wine in her purse? Number one. Number two, it looks like that gentleman is putting a really nice candy bar inside of his jacket. Number three, that person's hiding it inside their jacket too. You can kind of tell by his chin and his beard there, he's kind of looking off, making sure nobody's watching him. Number four, nothing like lipstick in the back pocket. I mean, how many individuals, when you go to the store, you might already have lipstick on you in your back pocket. So it's never obvious to other people. But loss prevention specialists who are out there roaming there, they call them plainclothes. You get these big department stores, they have plainclothes protection that goes around and watches individuals, but you can't see them. They just look like normal customers. They look for these types of activities. So when you're doing stuff like this, you're making yourself look very suspicious. Shoplifting is a crime. Free bracelets with each theft. That's one pair of bracelets you don't want to get. So what can you do when the urge hits? Shoplifting is common, but people don't talk about it. It's really hard to know how frequent it is, so we don't even have good estimates on how common it is because it's embarrassing. People deny it, they don't want to talk about it. But it's important to talk about it. We encourage our individuals to talk to someone they trust. Try to encourage them to talk to staff. All staff are trained to be there and listen to what is troubling you. They will try to help you make the correct decision. Do not be embarrassed to admit when you are struggling with making the right choice. It's better to ask for help. I can't stress this enough. You don't have to sit there and ponder that decision to steal something alone. Talk to the staff. When you're having those urges, when you're having those thoughts, they can help you process through the steps that we previously talked about on weighing the pros and cons and the consequences and the feelings and emotions and behind all of that. Do it when you're feeling. It's easier to discuss when you're in the moment and you're feeling those emotions running through your body when you're talking with the right person to help you through it. It's very important. Move away from what is triggering you. If something catches your eye, hand it over to staff or ask to be moved to a different area. Yeah, that pair of earbuds and that Gaylord going in the waist looks very tempting. So tell staff about that. You know what? The staff that I got running my mobile work crew to the warehouse, they're going to go over, they're going to grab those earbuds and they're going to toss them in the compactor so they don't cause you any more stress. But you got to talk about it. You got to, you have to take some responsibility and ownership of this process. You got to communicate. Moving causes your mind to become distracted from what you are focused on. Staying busy. If you are busy working and doing your job, that's where your mind is at. It's not wandering around as what you can take next. So just having some pattern or some repetitious movement or even, an assigned task that you're working on is going to be a nice distraction versus standing there staring at something you want, you can't afford, and that you feel like you want to steal. Stay busy, stay active, talk. That's what I'm trying to get to here. All right. That is the end of it. I forgot I removed some slides out of there because I didn't want to get flagged by the sensors again. So that's it for our loss prevention training. Just know that we here at Goodwill Work and Community Services support all of our individuals. This is the place where you come to learn to deal with these issues of needing to steal, wanting to steal, think you have to steal. It's okay to make mistakes when you're in our program because we are here to help you work through them so they don't become a lifelong problem. Um, we want to help build that moral compass within you so you can make better decision process, and that's our goal here. So it's okay to come here and make mistakes. We're here to help you through them and help you grow and become more independent and more responsible in the process. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you guys. And tune in tomorrow for our next 10 o'clock appointments. See you guys then.